We'll leave that matchup of unbeatens to go to another matchup of unbeatens. The Houston Texans, who got that win on Sunday Night Football, favored by 2 points on the road in the Hive.
I love this game.
Yes.
I absolutely love this game.
The Darnold Hive buzzing.
Look, you have 2 offenses that run the same scheme, right? Bobby Slowick, Kevin O'Connell. These are all McVay Shanahan disciples, right? So they're going to be running the same scheme. And we saw what that Vikings defense did to the 49ers in this game, where you had Brock Purdy coming up to Brian Flores saying, wow, that scheme.
That scheme's crazy, bro. It's crazy, bro.
But the Texans are a different monster now. I don't know how. I mean, they're so loaded. This is such a good game. So in me talking about Houston's offense going against this defense, I do think still that Houston has got some advantages with the receivers. The fact that they spread the ball around the way they do. We know Nico Collins is really showing up big time.
Leading the league in receiving by like 50 yards.
But not having Joe Mixon is a different thing in this game. We saw Cam Akers had a couple good runs, but he coughed up the ball. I mean, that's been a problem of his. So C.J. Stroud's going to have to really show up in this game. I think he shows up every game, but I think this is one where it's going to be on his arm.
Yes, and I've felt that the Texans' passing game has actually been a little disjointed the first 2 weeks. They've been productive. C.J. Stroud has made a lot of good throws and a couple good throws in rhythm, but he's really counted on in both games just making plays.
Yes.
As if he's probably been working on that. Like, not that he wasn't good at that his rookie year, but these 2 games, it's really stood out. But the on-time winning from the pocket throws haven't been as consistent. Now, they've had pretty tough matchup this last week against the Bears, and this is a tough one too. But you met it. I mean, Purdy's not wrong. That scheme is crazy, bro. Like, like you said, these offenses are similar. The defenses are not, because there's no defense quite like a Brian Flores defense. And just they have like 4 players. I was watching this on film this week that are just everywhere. That seems like there's 2 of them. And here's the 4. Metellus is everywhere.
Yes, he's everywhere.
Harrison Smith is everywhere. Still playing like he's 25 years old. Van Ginkel is everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the guy I wanted to talk about is Blake Cashman. It's the Cashman revenge game. Blake Cashman was awesome in that game last week in coverage. Brian Flores said he got it like a tip from I forget, it was like a former Hurricanes coach of Cashman's in college that happens to live in Eden Prairie now or something like that. And that's been a great free agent signing. And then they have a lot of really smart guys who can execute a tough defense.
And that's the thing, because when you mention all those guys, they've all seen a lot of football, and the communication with them works so well. Where there's plays where they line up showing double A gap, they like double mug look, and they come out to cover 2.
Right.
It's like Brock's having to figure that out. And at one point, cornerback's traveling with Brandon Ayuk in motion, and instead of running, he runs around the rest of the secondary, and he goes back into a single high look, and Brock Purdy looks up like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, that's a hell of an ask of a player, too.
And he just has to take a sack. It's just, there's so much, and a lot can go wrong, and C.J. Stroud can make you wrong, but it's going to be fun to watch. But I do think, since he comes into the league as a rookie, he is top 4 in yards per attempt against the blitz. And that includes his entire rookie season, where he's still figuring it out. He's still good.
And B-Flow sends him.
But even like that week 1, they didn't, like, you just never know what you're going to get. This team, I think, could execute anything. I'm torn on this game. Like, I lean Texans. I don't have a strong feeling. You're right, though, Steve. This is an awesome one. As much as we talk about the Vikings scheme and everything, is like, the Texans still have the players, Stingley and Lassiter and Petrie in the back end. That's a tougher matchup than Sam Darnold had.
And here's the bigger point. No one talks about them. The Texans linebackers, this might be, other than maybe the Niners, and maybe the best overall group with Azeez Al-Shaair, the puncher. You got Henry To'o. They have dudes who can run and get to the ball and deliver, some turnover changing contact when they get there. And that's going to be a problem for the Vikings. In that run game, that intermediate stuff, the way that these linebackers can run and get to the ball are going to be an issue for the Vikings. I do like the Texans to cover.
So this was an interesting game coming into the season, but you just never know what's going to look like. Right. To me, maybe the game of the week. I have a little hot take here.
Okay.
That the the secondary crews. And so for CBS, that's Charles Davis and Ian Eagle. And now for Fox, that's Greg Olsen and Joe Davis. Like, they've been getting the better games every week. They got Charles Davis is on Texans Vikings. That's intriguing. That's a 2024 type of game. Greg Olsen's got Saints Eagles. That's a lot of fun. And then they stick, the big names. It's like, oh, the Cowboys are just, Tom Brady's personal team for the third straight week. That's a good game too. But I'm just saying, sometimes I've been noticing the secondary teams are getting the juicier games. I'm looking forward to this.